That's a very common question that a lot of people ask. When do we start this process? Now. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this video. So today we are continuing our conversation talking about scholarships. 6 steps to winning private scholarships. In the last video, we began the 6 steps to winning more private scholarship lesson. So these are 6 steps that have been proven, that work. And if you follow these steps, there's no doubt that your student will win more private scholarships. And I know scholarships are very important to all of us because it's money that we can use to pay for college that we don't have to pay back. So optimize EFC, completing the forms, right? Regardless of what you think you're going to win or qualify for, it's really important in the private scholarship space to complete the financial aid forms. And then step 2 was research and ask. This is where it's really important for you to reach out to the universities, the prospective colleges in question, ask questions about, do they offer scholarships? Do they accept private scholarships? Do they have any resources or recommendations, to find more scholarships? So we talked more about that. And if you missed that video, please go back, check it out. The next 2 steps that we want to talk about today are going to be number 3 is refine, right? What do I mean by refine? I'll talk more about that. And then number 4, we're going to talk about the search. Okay, so refine and the search. So this is part 2 in this 3-part series going over the 6 steps, okay, to winning more private scholarships. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So refine. So when we talk about refining, okay, so what do I mean by refine as a part of this whole 6-step process to winning more scholarships? Let me pull this up. So refine basically means the whole point here is you don't need every scholarship. You don't want your student to apply for every scholarship. You want your student to apply for the scholarships that are ideal for them, the ones that they have a great chance of winning, right? So if you give them, hey, all these scholarship opportunities, I heard about this scholarship, that scholarship, these scholarships, even though they may actually meet the minimum requirements, you don't want to burn them out with multiple applications that are going to waste their time. And if they have a very low chance of winning, right, you don't want to put them in a situation where they are discouraged to, applying for more scholarships. They don't feel like they're going to win. I already applied for 20 scholarships, mom or dad, haven't won any of them. So I don't want to, apply for any more. That typically can happen if the student is, getting burned out by applying for a whole bunch of scholarships that they don't really have a good chance of winning. So you don't need hundreds or thousands of scholarships, although you may need hundreds or thousands of dollars. You want your student to apply to the right scholarships that they have a strong chance of winning. Okay, like in other words, this scholarship was kind of meant for me. This is a great opportunity for me to apply for because, they're speaking to me and I can speak to the organizational causes. So what is unique about your student? When you begin your search and you go into your search, this is why this is step 3 leading into search, is you want to think about what's unique, what makes your student unique, what's special or a special quality characteristic that is unique to them. Create a list of different things that make your student unique or stand out to you or to them. And this is not meant to be a resume. This is a great way to narrow your scholarship search results, opportunities that they have a really good chance of winning. Maybe there's an interest that they have. Maybe it's an ethnicity, uniqueness. Maybe whatever it is that makes them unique, it's important that you start your search based on those things, which put your student in a situation to have a greater chance of winning those scholarships. So ethnicity or race or any other physical traits, right? Red hair, bald, blonde hair, glasses, braids, who knows? Whatever makes your student special, I would begin the scholarship search, by being a little creative in that regard. And that also can help eliminate a lot of competition who may not be looking for those same types of scholarships that will be unique to your student. Religion, this is a common one, but this is a great one. Maybe, your religious beliefs, there's some scholarships that surround that, and I would totally narrow your search to certain things like that as well. Interests or hobbies, maybe your student likes to yo-yo. Who knows? If there are yo-yo scholarships, maybe they're into collectibles or collecting cars. There may be scholarship opportunities specific to certain interests or hobbies that your student may have. Obviously, talents, if they can sing, maybe they play the piano or dance. These are certain things that I would also take a look at or look into when it comes to how to refine and build a search criteria or profile that you can look for scholarships that fit within that profile. And once again, the whole objective behind doing this is it makes it easier and increases the likelihood for your student to win a scholarship. So that's step 3, is refine. The whole messaging behind this step is find scholarships that give your student a great opportunity to win. And now step 4, this is the search. Now, there's a lot that I can say about this, and I'm trying to put it in a short, concise slide or video. But if you have any questions, as I always say, you have any questions, reach out to us. Also, as I'm speaking, I'll just jump right in and say, if you haven't already taken a look at the 5K challenge, where we are helping you find your next or first $5,000 within 30 days for college, check it out. I'll make sure there's a link in the description where you can look into it, check it out, and see if you actually qualify to be a part of this particular challenge. Let's jump into search. And the reason I mention that is because we talk more about some of these things within that program, where we can kind of go into greater detail and more depth so you can have more information that you can use. But when it comes to search, now that you have narrowed or you refined you created a profile to refine your search process, you've narrowed your search. Now we want to figure out, where do we look? Where do we go? When do we start as far as this whole process? And I always say, if you're watching this video, you probably want to start now. Maybe your student is nearing college. Maybe your student is as young as middle school. But you want to start probably around the 7th, 8th grade time frame when it comes to the search. You don't have to be as aggressive the earlier you start with finding scholarships. But there are scholarships out there for students as young as 13 and maybe even younger, depending on the scholarship. So you want to start now. The place to look is to your employer, your human resource department, especially if you work for a big company. Companies are now starting to offer either tuition assistance or scholarships for the students of the actual employee. So it's a good place to start and ask, hey, are there any scholarship programs that we can take advantage of as employees? And a lot of times you may find out that there are. A great place to look. And the cool thing about some of these places that I'm going to mention here is that there's really not going to be a whole lot of competition. So if you find a good scholarship that your student actually can qualify for, that's one of the things that make them unique, because you obviously work for a company that offers a scholarship, and they may have a good chance of winning that scholarship, especially if they apply some of the other skills that I'm going to teach and go over in the next a few steps to come. So start now, speak to your employer, look in places that are less apparent to most when it comes to scholarships. What do I mean by that? Excuse me. So what we mean by less apparent is these places may be common, they may be popular, but a lot of people may not think of them as a place that I can look to find scholarships or to find money to help me pay for school. Places such as churches, places such as high schools, not even your high school. So if you live in a specific city where there's, maybe 4 or 5 high schools, you want to look at all those high schools, go to the website, check out, are there any resources to private scholarships that we can look into or apply for? Great place to start. Local high schools, local churches, local clubs, Rotary clubs, Chamber of Commerce, where a lot of businesses, will go and meet and collaborate and network. A lot of times they may offer scholarships for, the students within that chamber or within that city. So there's a lot of local places, local organizations and clubs that are great places to look when it comes to scholarships. Also, local professional services, right? Like attorneys or law firms, medical office, even nonprofits. If you have any nonprofits in your state, city. So these are places that are, that are not always the most common, maybe not always the most popular. The scholarships may not be listed on Google or other scholarship sites. So it's a good place to pick up the phone locally and call. When it comes to local searches, the great thing is you can go in there, you can talk to the people, you can build a rapport and a connection. And once again, these are things that make it very much likely or easier for your student to actually win those specific scholarships. And even though they may not always be large, every little bit can count and go a long way. So I would totally look into some of those places. Banks and credit unions. So if you bank at a specific small bank or credit union, this is a great place to find more scholarship. When it comes to a Google search, you can look up the state, right? Nebraska scholarships, or you can say the major. I'm looking for nursing scholarships. Special circumstances, if something, were to happen, maybe an unfortunate event in your life or your student's life, maybe they lost a parent, or, unfortunately something may have happened, but there are committees and programs out there, organizations that want to help those students be able to attend and pay for school. So scholarships, for example, single parents, special interest scholarships, mechanics, or people who want to build race engines. So there's a lot of opportunity that you can search for when it goes to Google. But the key to Google or a Google search is that you want to once again, you refined your search process. So you want to be specific when you type in that information. Be on the lookout for part 3 of this 3-part series, where we'll be talking about steps 5 and 6 to helping you or your student win more private scholarships.